Hello, I am active and this is my podcast. I mainly discuss Tartaria, alternative history, conspiracy theories, and all of this is strictly entertainment purposes only. I'm only here to share with you what I have researched and to help others who are interested in these topics piece together the puzzle. So, for those of you who don't know what the world fairs are, during the late 1800s, they were these elaborate events where people would go in order to be programmed, essentially. And why would people willingly go to events like that, you might ask? Why would they do that? Well, for one, a lot of the people who went to these world fairs were foreigners. A lot of the times, a lot of the times they were newly imported immigrants, and then once here they would learn about these world fairs, or they would be sent to these world fairs, and once they got there they would be amazed and they would have different exhibits. For instance, they had a Native American exhibit and they had a African exhibit where they displayed Africans in a very racist manner, meaning they would show them in the jungle. A lot of psychologically damaging stuff. So, people would go to these world fairs and they would walk away with the impression that the different cultures they were examining, that was who they were. So that's why earlier I said that they were programmed. They even had a Moorish exhibit where they would showcase the Moors, who at the time were understood as being Americans. A lot of people believe that Black people were sent to America and they only came here via slavery, which is not true at all. There were plenty of freedmen around, and when you look at the First War of Independence with England, there were plenty Black people that were fighting on both sides, and slavery primarily took place in the southern states, meaning in places like New York, where they had historical Black towns like Seneca Village. They were free, they weren't slaves. So as soon as you can wrap your mind around the fact that not all Black people were from Africa that were here in America, and there were plenty of Black towns where they already had free Blacks living in, you can then begin to see the bigger picture and why they had the Moorish exhibit, which was very elaborate because it showcased a lot of the architecture that people now attribute to Tartaria. So now, once the people went to these world fairs and they were shown a lot of the elaborate buildings and a lot of the architecture, that if you ask anyone today about these world fairs, these buildings, they will tell you that those buildings were mock-ups, meaning they were made specifically for the world fair, which isn't true. It's actually a lie, in my opinion. The world fairs, in my opinion, were set up on actual city grounds and in actual towns that existed prior, that they went on to demolish afterwards because a lot of the buildings had technology they wanted to do away with. For example, when you look at a lot of the Tartarian buildings, you see antennas, or you look at old photos, you see evidence of technology, which I will make videos on later. So these people were given diplomas after they completed the World Fairs? Why would they give people diplomas if not for the fact that they wanted to teach these people or program these people, these newly imported immigrants, on what they wanted them to think America was about and who certain people were, according to the people who created the World Fairs. And the way how I look at it, it was all part of a land theft or a new management program, because think of it this way. You're in America. You've been handed America. It's now yours. You have all these existing people that live here already that you now want to replace. What better way of replacing those original people than by bringing in new people and having those new people programmed with whatever ideology that you want to proceed with? Also, just think about how all of these people that you're bringing in would eventually go on to be voters. You see, because of how America is set up, it's a democracy, and the power is in the numbers. You can then see why people who want power will use populations to garner power. And a good film to watch that goes into this concept is Gangs of New York. You know, in it we can see how immigrants were being used to shift the population around. I mean, that was the message of the film. Now, when we think about how immigration and population management is used today in the modern world, for example, right? Remember when they were putting different people, different immigrant groups in different communities? They were essentially shifting the dynamics. And they say they were doing this for humanitarian purposes, which is probably true, but they're also effectually shifting the demographics, right? Now, this is my opinion, guys. According to everything that I have looked into, this was the conclusion that I came up with. So, again, draw your own conclusions, please. And if you want to dive deeper into this, I suggest you read these following books that deal with this subject. The first book I would recommend is The Book of the Fair by Hubert Howe Bancroft. This is a primary source from 1893 World's Columbian Exposition, and it shows how they presented the World Fair to the public at the time. The second book I recommend is Human Zoos, Science and Spectacle in the Age of Colonial Empires. This book goes deeper into how different cultures and ethnic groups were displayed at these fairs and exhibitions, and how those displays shaped the public mind. The third book I recommend is Tartaria, Mud Flood, Alien War by David Ewing Jr. Now, this one is more fringe and conspiracy minded, but if you're already researching Tartaria, mud flood theories, hidden architecture, and reset narratives, this is the kind of book that fits that lane. If you like what I'm doing and you want to help support, all you have to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join my book club so you can get one of my books, because I'm also an author.